Hello, you absolute legends. Considering Karl did not decide to do his normal intro, I thought I would do it in this video. He has put out his response to everything that's going on, and it's pretty much exactly as I thought it was going to be, and what a lot of other people thought he was going to say is pretty much what he's done. Now, there's a few points that I kind of want to talk about, and then you guys can chime in the comment section down below. But basically, I predicted that Karl was going to do quite a lot of gaslighting in his video and basically talk about how he didn't really do anything wrong. People maybe just misunderstood him, and he could understand how people could have misunderstood him, but it wasn't really his fault. That's exactly what he did. So in his response video, he did actually start off by saying some people are a little bit upset because they feel like I may have misled them. And then he went on to explain, at least in his own way, that he didn't mislead them, so it was your fault essentially if you picked things up incorrectly. Now, the problem is, a lot of what Karl goes on to say, he ultimately undoes this, and he pretty much proves himself why people were right to kind of misunderstand what had happened. Now, before we actually jump into the crux of the matter, which is obviously the fundraiser, there was something quite blatantly obvious that he did talk about in the video, and I don't really understand how he can look at this in hindsight and still think it's okay. So he was talking about the allegations that he made, okay, whether they were thinly veiled or whether they were outright allegations against Billy Mitchell. He did allude to the fact that due to Billy, Apollo may have taken his own life. Now, whether he tried very cleverly to word that in a way that couldn't get him into trouble, he says himself, he obviously failed, okay? Now, the thing about that is, he admits himself he made a retraction video in the hopes that it would go away, but he didn't actually make a retraction video. What he did was, at the very end of a 30-minute video talking about Dark Souls, he decided to put on a little snippet basically making a retraction. Now, the problem comes that he knew exactly what he was doing there. He didn't want people to see that. As much as he may claim he wanted people to see that, he didn't want people to see that, or he would not have put it there. The reason I say that is Karl's been doing YouTube for quite a long time, and Karl knows how YouTube works. You guys obviously watch a lot of YouTube videos, and a bit of a running joke you will see with most YouTubers is, towards the end of the video, not even the very end of the video, towards the end of the video, a lot of YouTubers will actually joke about the fact that no one is watching, okay? Because the way that YouTube works is, there's a retention rate, okay? So if you've got a 30-minute video, retention works in a way that very early on in the video, your views are high, okay? And then progressively as that video goes on, your views just slowly start to taper off, okay? And by the end of the video, you're probably lucky if even 30% of people who started watching that video are still watching that video. So he knew by putting that at the very end of that video, very few people who started watching that video were going to still be watching that video, okay? So it's really no surprise to me that someone like Billy would not have accepted that. Now, if he really wanted to make a retraction, he would have made a video that was literally just about his retraction. Even if it was a short video, that would have been the entire point. Here is my retraction. I want to draw attention to that. I'm sorry for what I said, and hopefully we can move on from it. That's how you do it, okay? It's like a newspaper. A newspaper can't bury a retraction to a story in the bottom corner of the 20th page. They have to make it very visible to people who are reading, and they have to do it early on because it has to stand out, right? Karl tried to bury it. He tried to do it as a sort of a check mark to say, yep, I've retracted the story. But he done it in such a way that no one was going to see it, okay? And he tells you this in his video, and I don't understand how he doesn't realise that that was the wrong thing to do, okay? It's very strange to me that he kind of looked at this video and thought it was a good idea to actually stand on that and say, well, I did nothing wrong. I made a mistake. I came out, I said sorry about it. Yeah, okay, but you tried to make sure as few people as possible could see that you were sorry, because you didn't want to essentially be seen as a guy who I was apologising to Billy Mitchell. That, to me, is very disingenuous. And again, as someone who knows how YouTube works better than a lot of people, he knew exactly what he was doing. And for his apology not to be accepted and for the court case to move forward, I just feel like he knew what he was doing and it's his own fault. And ultimately, the fact that he's trying to, I guess, say, well, I don't know why I was sued, I said sorry, it doesn't really wash, to be completely honest. Now, in the same video, he does go on to state that he was sued multiple times, or he was threatened to be sued multiple times, okay? He actually goes into great length to explain that before you're sued, you're essentially provided with what's more or less a notice that someone might be intending to take legal action against you, okay? So what he actually did was he had been going through this court case in relation to Apollo. This was the actual court case, the one that was proceeding and the one that he lost ultimately, okay? And he was later told that there may be some additional legal action taken by Billy, and he shows those letters. Based on that threat of legal action, so not legal action itself, the threat of legal action, he launched the GoFundMe, okay? And the GoFundMe was in relation to those threats of legal action in relation to cheating, okay? And that's the one that we spoke about before. The GoFundMe that stated Billy Mitchell's trying to sue me again, the one that the video came out regarding, the one that Penguin Zero, Moist Critical, Charlie, whatever you want to call him, he also made a video signal boosting it, and that GoFundMe hit 150k, I think he said it was, within 24 hours, okay? So people were obviously very keen to support him on this cheating allegation. And this was the same GoFundMe that at the very bottom stated, just simply, this will also go towards funding my other legal case that is ongoing, okay? Which was the Apollo. Now, this is why KARL doesn't think he did anything wrong, because in that GoFundMe, he was raising funds for cheating, okay? But that never came to pass. So he used those funds to cover the other legal case. The issue that I don't think he sees, and this is why people think they've been misled, he thinks because when he did that GoFundMe, he genuinely thought he might be sued for these cheating claims. That never came to pass. That's not his fault. The GoFundMe he set up was not done in any sort of a malicious way. Okay, let's give him that. That might be true. At that point though, he technically would then have a responsibility to either A, refund people their donations and then do a GoFundMe for the Apollo case, like stating to people what it's actually about, okay? Or he would just simply not take any donations from people for the Apollo thing, because up to that point, he seemed to be comfortable enough to fund the Apollo case by himself, which he stated he did not fund anything off his fans for that. It was only these other lawsuits that he was going to require support with. So the fact that those lawsuits never went ahead, okay, just going by what KARL said himself, he wasn't going to get fan support for the Apollo case. So when he knew the only case moving forward was the Apollo case, then what he had to do was then refund his fans. Or at that point, make it overtly obvious, guys, you have now donated to me for this case. If you would like your money back, contact me and I'll arrange a refund for you. Something to that effect. This is why people feel that they've been misled. And KARL does not seem to get this at all. He seems to be fully running on the viewpoint of, well, I didn't lie because when I asked you for money, I thought this was going to happen. It didn't happen, so I used the money for something else. Yeah, okay, KARL, that is what happened. You did use the money for something else, but no one else actually was fully aware of what you were using that money for. And so many people have actually said in my comment section, well, only people who were stupid or not paying attention would realise that this was not also about the Apollo situation. Well, Penguin Zero, Moist Critical, who actually was used in evidence to support KARL, He went to Australia, as far as I know. He actually went to Australia to plead on Karl's behalf and give evidence for the defendant, which would be Karl in this case. He said himself on stream that he did not know that this was about Apollo. Someone who was actually a witness in the case, someone who signal boosted this guy's GoFundMe, who went to defend him, he did not know it was about defamation because he said that Billy basically caused someone to kill himself. Now, if the person involved in the case didn't know, how can Karl, genuinely not understand how his fan base, who gave him money, would not know that? I mean, he literally made a 30-minute video where he does not accept any responsibility for this, basically. He essentially low-key tries to pass it off as, well, I can see where the misunderstanding came from, but it's not really my fault. Ultimately, that's what his apology video boils down to, if you can call it an apology video. I don't really know if it was an apology video because he doesn't think he did anything wrong, so what's he apologising for? It was very much a apology. If I offended anyone, I'm sorry. And you know what people think about that? Well, you obviously don't think you did anything wrong. You're only just saying the words. You don't believe the words yourself, okay? That's pretty much what he did in this video. And he never took it serious. The entire video is backed by random Minecraft footage. Of all things. He says he's not confident being in front of the camera, yet we've actually got videos of Karl in his first foray into YouTube where he decided he was a pickup artist, and he's on camera approaching drunk females trying to get their number, I suppose, and then say that he's got methods to help you pick up girls, and he was selling a book. Okay, mate, fair enough, you're not comfortable being on camera, but you put yourself on camera doing that, but you're not comfortable enough to be on camera saying, do you know what, guys? Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I didn't mean to mislead you, but I guess I kind of did. No, none of that. Just essentially, well, you should have been paying attention, really. I wasn't trying to hide anything. You know, it's not my fault that news reporters in Australia were running things on the national news to say I was being sued for cheating. I didn't feel that I should correct that because it might make my defence harder if I was to say to people, well, no, it's not actually about cheating. I don't know. He seems to have really taken the tact here that I'm not going to apologise, I'm not going to admit any wrongdoing, and instead I'm going to gaslight the audience, exactly like I thought he would, into thinking that you should have been paying more attention, basically. And if I did mislead you, I never meant to do it, so why would I say sorry? Ultimately, I think that he's kind of blown this one big time. I would be shocked if this video stays up, to be honest. I think this video might be one of those videos that ends up being deleted, because as has already been pointed out in his comment section on this video, which is rife if you go and read it, it's no one's really accepting the apology. I keep calling it apology, it wasn't an apology, but no one is accepting his explanation. Most people are very quick to point out exactly what he did wrong, and ultimately the one thing that I've seen reiterated multiple times is, if this was anyone else, and Karl, who does these expose type videos, if he was analysing what they said in response to something like this, he would not accept this as an outcome. If this was Jared, if this was whoever, and this was how they handled we'll call it a scandal, or we'll call it I don't even know what you'll call it, a shit show, basically, he would be basically saying it's not good enough. It's someone's not accepting responsibility. They need to be accountable for what they've done. And he seems to think the rules that he holds other people by, the standards that he expects other people to live by, don't apply to him. And I do ultimately think that this is an extremely poor way to have handled this. In fact, he would have been better at this point saying nothing, because you're always going to have the people that will support him no matter what, because they hate Billy Mitchell, right? So regardless of what's actually happening, they don't care. They've got someone who's going to go and fight a battle that they want them to fight. They're going to support them no matter what. But what you're seeing is people who have kind of supported him based on facts rather than based on feelings, they've started to drop off. You're finding a lot more people who are just like, no, this is not it, Chief. Not down for this. This isn't the response we expected. You're kind of taking no accountability here. The number is growing there of people who are unhappy versus people who are satisfied and they think he did nothing wrong. So it's very disappointing to see. Again, no real surprises with how it's played out. I do think that he's probably now going to try and scramble and think of what he can say next, because I do feel like he's probably going to be a bit shocked at the response, and I think there's more to come from this. Unfortunately, I don't think Billy's handling this in the right way either. He's gloating quite a lot about it and stuff, and to me, I think it's making him come off a little bit as I want to rub your face in it. Now, I know that's what KARL said. KARL said if he won, he would literally rub Billy's face in it. And I guess turnaround's fair play, but I don't know. I just think that he would probably be better just taking the moral high ground and saying nothing, because he's won, you know? He doesn't really need to grandstand on Twitter about it. But if he wants to do that, fair play. He did win at the end of the day. But KARL is clearly intending to appeal this decision. He said that himself. He makes a lot of statements in his video, and it really does come off as boo-hoo, poor me. I was hard done by. I did nothing wrong. In fact, he outright states he never at any point said that he as in Billy, had anything to do with Apollo's like taking his own life. So by that token, he's essentially saying that the judge, with zero evidence, found him guilty of defamation, which again is just wild. It's absolutely wild. But there you go. That's the update. Basically, KARL is bitched out and he's trying to put the blame on everyone else, and I don't think it's going to play out very well, and I do think this is going to rumble on a little bit longer. Obviously, there was no response whatsoever to the unhinged shit that's come out from him on his Discord with alts. I'm not going to get into that in this video because some of that stuff is not suitable for YouTube, shall we say. And I don't know what foundation there is behind it, but there is some wild stuff out there. If you've ever heard of Kiwi Farms, you can go in there and you can get quite a snapshot. Bit of a negative bias on there though against them, so maybe that picture will be a little bit clouded based on other people's opinions of him. But just based on the facts of what we know and what he said in his response video, he's taking zero responsibility, zero accountability, and essentially he's low-key putting the blame onto us, his audience. I say us, I never donated his GoFundMe, so I can't say us specifically. But yeah, it's not his fault. That's what it boils down to. So it's a long video, 30 minutes. If you want to go and watch it, but I'll save you a lot of time and effort. It very much is just him. Not my fault, wasn't me. Sorry if you misunderstood things, but wasn't really my fault. But yeah, so maybe we'll find out more, maybe we won't, but as it stands right now, he's kind of taking this a lot more tongue-in-cheek. You can see it with the thumbnail, loser. Doesn't seem to be taking it all that serious, considering it is quite a serious thing. And again, I do think there's going to be more to come from this, and I do think that he's probably caused himself a certain degree of damage to his reputation that I don't see how he can come back from. And I think it's probably best if he just goes back to making videos about speedrunning and maybe stay away from these expose videos and basically running his mouth without speaking to legal teams, etc. Because as has been shown this time, it can seriously come back to bite you in the ass. And this time, it might have cost him his entire YouTube career, never mind his financial stability. So yeah, that's it guys. The update is, it wasn't my fault. I'm going to gaslight you, and I'm going to make you feel like you were in the wrong for not understanding things better. Let me know in the comments down below if your takeaway is different, and I'll catch you on the next video, whatever that may be. Maybe, hopefully, not this. Speak to you later. Bye bye.